It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Jones. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about supporting the mental and emotional health of youth who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. Now, we don't cover this particular demographic all the time on the podcast, but it is one that I have had personal experience with, working with people in my community, friends of my children, and then also professional experience, which I'm going to tell a little bit of a story today about some of the engagement that I had as a clinician and some of the programs that I've had since then on supporting this particular dynamic and this particular community when it comes to the emotional and mental health. And why is there a unique difference in approach that we need to take when working with folks who do identify within the LGBTQI community? Now, community that gets a lot of flack, right? We're talking about gender, we're talking about race, we're talking about identity, ethnicity, we're talking about sometimes even religion. All the isms that we face, all the isms that we see come out and they play out in how these young people live their day-to-day life. They get a lot of hate, a lot of frustration, a lot of confusion, and mental health becomes a bigger issue for a lot of these young people than most people would even know. Early in my career, I was a case manager. Early in my career, I was someone who worked in social services and transitional housing was the more specified term of what my job was. These were young people who were either homeless or were in between homes or couch hopping, as we used to call it. These were highly mobile, is the current industry term, highly mobile individuals. And these were young people. These people were 12, 13, 14 years old. And a good chunk of those young people were young people who identify in the LGBTQIA plus community one way or another. And a lot of times, the reason why these young people ended up being homeless or highly mobile, not really having a stable home, sometimes even foster care, was because of how they identify from a gender standpoint or a sexuality standpoint. So we know that we have a huge problem in our community where when young people identify as something other than the gender at birth or assigned, other than what society has deemed as the norm or typical, anything outside of heterosexual has been, looked at upon as something that is not natural, not correct, not right. And what that has done is left a lot of young people really searching for community, searching for belonging and significance, and even a level of security in other spaces outside of home. So it's important for us to understand that dynamic when we do talk about this specific group of youth, because it does play a role in a lot of their day-to-day activities. When we're talking about school, work, engagement in the community, whether we're talking about even just engaging with their friends and family, it's a huge, huge issue within their community. So there was a report that came out from CBS News that talked about a study that was done on this specific group of youth and how their mental health shows up. And this was a CBS report, and it highlighted the alarming truth that LGBTQIA plus youth are experiencing significantly higher levels of mental health distress than their heterosexual or cisgendered peers. Rates of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts all remain disproportionately high, fueled by what they determined as stigma, discrimination, and the lack of affirming spaces. Now, you may be wondering, what does the affirming spaces mean? That's not a typical term that we hear or use on a day-to-day basis. And ultimately, that means that these are spaces where these folks feel like they belong, their voices are heard, people care about them, they're respected. Those are affirming spaces. Those are affirming spaces. And when you feel like you don't have those things, you are kind of left out on the island. You are kind of feeling isolated or alone. And those can lead to a lot of challenges for young people as well. So, yet, amid the challenges, one powerful protective factor was identified in the article. The supportive factor emerges in most of what we know about resiliency research. And in resiliency research, we know that one way to cut through some of the adversity, cut through some of the trauma, is making sure that people have supportive adults in their life. That's where this podcast comes in. You have that ability to be that supportive adult. Supportive adults make a huge difference in the well-being, mental and psychological well-being of young people. They want to know that someone older than them, they're connected to, that they respect, actually cares about them. Whether you're a parent, caregiver, or youth worker, there is an ability to make a difference. There's a huge ability to make a difference, between the despair that these young people are going through and their ability to maintain resilience. So, how do we do this? And this is what the podcast is for, giving some tips and some insights on how do we prosper forward so that we're supporting the young people the way that they deserve to be supported. So, for many LGBTQI plus youth, the struggle isn't about their identity, it's about how others respond to it. Rejection from family, peers, and faith communities can cause deep emotional pain, leading to withdrawal, depression, and self harm. So, what do we do with that? Well, we need to let them know that we love them unconditionally, no matter how they identify. We need to avoid statements like it's a phase, or I don't agree with your lifestyle, or you're making a big mistake and you'll realize this later. These are common statements that we hear that these young people who are part of this community end up hearing from the adults that they believe care about them. Okay. These What happens when you make these type of statements is that they're very, very invalidating, and that their identity to who they are and to their identity, and it often leads young people to shut down. Instead, we can say things like, "Thank you for trusting me with who you are. I love you, and I want you to understand. I want to understand how I can support you. No matter how you identify, I'm here in your corner. Your identity is one thing, but I care about you as a person and I'm here to listen." These are all statements that you can utilize to help kind of combat some of the stigma and frustration and some of the fear that these young people may have in reaching out to you to seek some assistance or help. We need to create safe, affirming home environments. Definitely a broken record moment here on the podcast. I'm always talking about creating a nice, safe environment. So, small signals of acceptance can make a huge difference. Displaying a pride flag, using their chosen names or pronouns, or simply standing up for them in conversation sends a strong message that home is a safe space. One way you can do this to figure out what those messages can be is ask respectful and questions and attempt to educate yourself as best as you can in the place of a burden of teaching children. Seek out affirming therapists, school counselors, and community programs that understand the LGBTQIA plus experience. So you want to make sure that you are connecting with folks who can help build this community around the young person so that you don't feel like you're going at it alone either, as they feel like they may be going at it alone themselves. The next area to pay attention to is what we call the signals of mental health strain. Are they dealing with too much? Are they struggling? In the article, the CBS article, it stated that nearly half of the LGBTQIA plus youth seriously considered suicide in the past year. That is alarming. When almost half of the people they talk to are considering suicide within the last 12 months of their existence. And according to the Trevor Project, which is a national organization that studies and supports LGBTQ young people, but does a lot of research and studies around them, what they that's where the 50% came from. But they also said that the warning signs include withdrawal from friends, changes in sleep or appetite, irritability, and frequent criticizing statements. These are all things that you may hear from young people. Being self-critical, withdrawing from friends, major changes in their sleep or their appetite. All these things are warning signs that we have to pay attention to. That something may be impacting the mental and emotional health of these young people. What can you do about that? Check in regularly. Try not to judge. Ask, how are you feeling about things lately? Or is there anything that will make life hard for you right now? That's a difficult question because that question brings a lot of fear because the answer that you get can lead to all different types of things. So, you know, be careful with that one. Is there anything making life harder for you right now? And I say that because I've asked this question. I've had family therapy sessions where I've had parents or caregivers ask this question in session. And a lot of times those young people would answer with, it's you. It's you. And then that makes the parent or caregiver have to look in the mirror and say, well, what can I do to kind of work through this? This is a hard thing and it does not feel good. Okay. Couple more tips. Support their social connections. So the friends that they do have, you want to support them as best as you can. LGBTQ plus youth who feel connected to their peers, mentors, or affirming groups are more likely to thrive. So what can we do is just continue to participate in these clubs and these social groups, whether they're online or in person, community centers, all these things. You want them to express themselves in the most healthiest way that is possible. Avoid trying to force them into isolation or hostile type of things, and even avoid trying to force them into groups. If they don't feel like it's a good fit for them, don't push it too much. Just work at their own pace. Make sure you're being supportive whatever direction that they're looking to head in. Number 5, advocate in schools and community. This is going to take a lot of work on your part. Make sure the schools have the tools and support in place to help this young person navigate. There's a good chance that at the school that the young person in your life is not the only young person going through what they're going through, and they need a little assistance. So be your child's ally outside of the home just as much as you are inside of the home. Challenge discriminating policies, support inclusive curricula, and speak up when you witness bias as best as you can. That's what you can do, is showing and modeling that courage, showing and modeling that level of care will go a long way with the young person. And then the last thing that I'm going to add in there, and again, another broken record moment here, is you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. It can be challenging. If you're not a part of that community, but the young person in your life is, it can be very daunting, very challenging to understand what's going on, to help them navigate what's happening themselves. It can be exhausting, and you need to take care of yourself as best as possible. It's always good and very healthy to model those healthy mental and emotional health behaviors for your child. It's even more important when there is a difference, if there is a difference between how you identify and how your child identifies, modeling healthy behaviors and showing them that, hey, I care about you, I want to connect, and I'm taking care of myself, can go an extremely long way. Highly recommended. So I mentioned this, and I want to talk about this topic, and I want to be honest. I'm not an expert when it comes to LGBTQIA plus youth. I myself have had to do a lot of growing in this space and working with young people. My journey started in 2015, mainly when I had a significant group of my clients who identify within this community. I had to really do some deep diving, and I found something called cultural intelligence, and that really helped me understand how to work with groups with different backgrounds than myself, and it really challenged me and forced me to um, to work in a very healthy way with these young people, and also challenge my own bias and my own non ability to understand what these young people go through, and it worked for the most part. There were times where I fumbled and stumbled and made a fool of myself, but it definitely worked. So I know it can be done. So I want to share a few resources, and then I'll share where you can find us here. The first resource that I want to share with you is the Trevor Project that I mentioned. It's a crisis and support program, and it's just trevorproject.org. Yeah, trevorproject.org is the site that you can go to in order to get help. I recommend them because I am just the most familiar with them as a group. The other group is they go by P Flag, and I'm trying to remember what P Flag stands for off the top of my head. Um, but they're a national group. You can just go to PFLAG. That's PFLAG.org. They're a national organization. They have chapters all throughout the United States. A lot of good resources, a lot of good support there. They're here to answer your questions. And I couldn't remember what the what the acronym stands for off the top of my head, but I will like to advocate for that organization and encourage you to check out that website, simply because it's really designed for parents and caregivers to help out, similar to how today's podcast. So if you want some real expert advice with some people who are a lot more connected to that community than myself, definitely go to pflag.org, pflag.com. All right, so those are the resources for if you are a parent or caregiver or youth worker engaging with LGBTQIA plus youth. But if you are interested in checking out this podcast further, there's a couple places for you to go. The first place is on Facebook. You can just type in "It's Not Your Fault" podcast right there in the search bar. You can find this podcast and a bunch of others right there on the Facebook group. Go ahead and follow us and like us there, and we'll be sure to continue to give you great content. The second place to find us is if you want to connect with me directly, maybe ask me a question or something, you can go to my website. That's jegna.org, jegna.org. That's jegna.org. Feel free to check me out. Send me an article or two. I'll definitely cover it right here on the podcast. Then the third place to check us out, if you like me, there's a good chance you're going to like the other podcasters right here in the network. That network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Go ahead and check us out. We look forward to seeing you, not just here on this podcast, but on all the podcasts, because they're all great and they're all giving great information. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me today. Please take care of yourselves. Be safe, be constructive, and be well. And we'll talk to you again next time. Peace.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault, or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
To keep my home running smooth, I count on Xfinity Internet. With 99.9% reliability, we're all online at once. No slowdowns. The Xfinity app lets me manage our Wi-Fi and keep things secure. Xfinity makes it easy.
Ready to go? At Metro Transit, we are. With more routes to more places, easy ways to pay, and more convenient options, we're ready to go further. Go easier. Go faster. Go, go, go. And go. We're ready to go. Are you?
When she walked in on her first day at Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas, she didn't know a soul.
I'm Zion, and I'm a second year at DFC.
A year later, and so many changes for Zion.
I love my friends here. I couldn't do anything without them. We support each other all the time.
At Doherty Family College, Zion also finds support on the academic side. Like all DFC students, Zion can count on a team committed to her success. Doherty Family College is Minnesota's affordable private college option. DFC students earn their associate's degree and then can transition to a 4-year college or university for their bachelor's. Many are students of color or first in their family to go to college.
It's nice to see people that look like you pursuing an education, wanting to succeed academically.
Zion encourages any high school student looking for a college home to do what she did and apply to Doherty Family College.
All the support you could need is here.
Ready to make your move and experience Doherty Family College for yourself? Then schedule your visit to the Minneapolis campus at dfc.stthomas.edu/visit.